I want to make a loaf of bread, a little bit of time so I can get this thing warmed up and started. So I have 3 tablespoons of sugar in my bowl and open up a packet of yeast, instant yeast. Warmed up some milk a little too much, so I've been letting it sit here for about 5 minutes to let it cool down to about 100 degrees or so. One thing I saw, is I want to mix it up a little bit. Dissolve the sugar a little bit, and also what you should do is you let your yeast activate, so you give it up to 10 minutes. Some people said 10 minutes. One person I saw on TikTok said just a couple of minutes. So I noticed it does kind of puff up a little bit, and that's the yeast activating, which is what we need. So that way the bread will rise. And I've let it do that, but the warmth also hurries the process along, which is good. But yeah, letting this warm up, letting this mix up a little bit, trying to dissolve the sugar and let the yeast hydrate. So it does have that yeasty odor. Gotta let it sit for a moment while I get my other ingredients together. The nice thing about this is I have a little bit of time, so I'm just throwing all this together real quick so that way I can wait for the rise. The rise takes a little bit of time. I had it happen in a half hour, but it can take up to an hour, depending on the warmth. It's sort of a warm day today. It's not, it's pretty pleasant outside. It's actually the upper 70s already. Wow. So it's February and the weather's wrong, in my opinion. Oh, it's salt. I need salt too. So I have butter. This one recipe I found said 320 grams, and then the person proceeds to say, well, it's not always going to be the same, so you have to just kind of eyeball and go by it and say, man, I've done that and I've never had any luck. So it's been sitting here for a few minutes. So I'm going to start adding my flour. I need 470 grams for this application. I have my salt. Not my salt everywhere. I'll just go ahead and add my salt. I'm going to do a quick measure. I need 470 grams. So let's do 200 here, and then 200 more. All right. So flour's been added. Let me go ahead and add my butter. You can do all this in a mixer. There's a lot. It actually goes around the same amount of time. I just do it with my hands. You just got to make sure. Apparently, we've learned in the last few years with the ongoing pandemic that most of you weirdos don't wash your hands regularly. Wash your hands, people. Break my egg up. I'm gonna mix all this stuff together. See how what we got here? It's real nasty and sticky for about 2 minutes. And then it'll get all over your shirt, which doesn't really matter. Not nasty. Any real sticky parts, just give it a second, wipe it off your hands. Like I said, wash your hands. Make sure your hands are like you're going into surgery, like you're about to stick your hand in somebody's butt. That doesn't sound right. Anyway, you know what I mean. Okay. I feel pretty good with that. Just so you can see, take a look at how this dough is moving. It's actually rather nice. What I'm doing is just so it won't be so scratchy, just building those gluten strands like I would with a regular sourdough. My sous chef Zoe down here. She's watching me. All right. Take my before picture. So now I'm going to put this in here. I'm going to cover it. So from start to finish, that's 15 minutes to get to here. Not too bad. I'm going to let this sit in there for at least a half hour, maybe even a whole hour. And then once it's ready, the next step of baking and all that shouldn't take that long. All right, it's been about 45 minutes. Let it rise. Put this on the bake. There. Let's check this out. It's doubled in size. That is awesome. I'm gonna take it out because it's greased bowl. It just flops right out. It smells nice. It smells almost smells like beer. It's like almost like because beer has yeast in it, right? So it has like a beery type flavor. I wash my hands? It's like, did I wash my hands? This thing is airy. So now you want to beat all that air out of it because that's just part of the process. I forget why. Because I want it to be even. I want it to be even and relatively smooth. So, and like the bottom is going to look like a war zone, but it doesn't really matter a whole lot. So, kind of this, like I said, it's yeast. This I found is more forgiving. Maybe I'm doing it totally wrong, but okay. Relatively uniformed in size and in shape because it will grow. So now just take it, put it in. Now what I'm going to do, cover it with a clean towel. So I'm going to let this rest. I guess this is equivalent of a bench rest, but all that's going to happen now. So I'm going to let this sit. Give it about 20 minutes or so. My oven's preheating right now, so let this rest. It's going to rise a little bit more and fill in some. That's good, and then we're going to bake it. So we're about 20 minutes away from baking, and everything seems pretty good. Okay, about 20 minutes. We still got like 17 seconds left on the clock here, but look at that. I noticed when I walked over here, my towel was lifted. This thing is a sucker. Look at that. It's above the. This sucker's gonna be. Sucker's gonna be big, is what I'm trying to say. I'm excited. This is cooking with yeast is like a cheat code. So this is ready. I'm all about making this stuff easier to do because then I'll do it more. And it's fun. It's enjoyable. I like baking. I like baking. I like cooking. Cooking's fun. My wife and I take turns cooking. When she's real busy, I do a lot of the cooking, and vice versa. We both enjoy cooking. She's a way better cook than I am, but I'm more prolific, just like you two. Let's egg wash this sucker. It looks great, or it looks great. I don't want to misgender my loaf here. Yeast just feels like a cheat code. After doing sourdough, which I need to get back to. Sourdough is an adventure. Sourdough is a lot of work. Sourdough comes out really well. This flavor is incredibly familiar if you've grown up eating like white bread, like Mrs. Baird or something like that. That's what it tastes like. That's a great flavor, very familiar. Makes an excellent sandwich, toast. All of that is great. Sourdough is its own thing. Sourdough has a much more complex flavor. Sourdough you can just kind of eat like that, and you'll like, oh wow, it has all of these complex flavors that come up because of the aging of the starter and all that good stuff and how you blend it together. My sourdough is vegan. My sourdough is 3 ingredients. I think I could make this vegan, Not that that's something that's incredibly important. I do like to have vegan stuff um, from time to time. But anyway, I'm just blah 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 because I'm excited because I think it is going to come out great, and we'll know in about 22 minutes. Using yeast does have it has its own thing, so to speak. But once you get into the habit of it, I guess, I would figure out what you need. Look at this sucker. What I need to do is make this thing bigger. Have a larger pan. I have a larger pan, but okay, no stick. That is floured and greased. Look at that sucker. Look at it. Look at it. It's probably about 5 inches tall at the top. And I can look how shiny it is with the egg wash. You can kind of smell the egg, which is weird, but that's what that smell is when you have a bread, when you have like sweet bread. It has that kind of that odor is just the egg wash. I've never thought about it until right now. Anyway, I'm super excited. This sucker came out great. So now it is 4 in the afternoon. I started the process at like 2:45, and now it's 4:52, and I have a loaf of bread that's ready to go. I'm gonna let it sit for at least 2 hours, just sitting here, and then I'll probably won't have anything until the morning. I'll make some toast or something like that. It is the next morning. I'm gonna make some toast. Crumb looks great. I mean, it's so it's fluffy and light. It's very fluffy and light. It's very nice. I like it. I mean, I don't know. There's just something about it. Just familiar. Not terribly complicated in flavor, but good. So, that's another loaf. I'm actually going to make it my breakfast right now.